Pamela Adlon, you play Pamela in Louie, and you were just nominated for an Emmy for Best Guest Actress in a Comedy. You've been nominated for the show before as a writer and as a producer in previous years. What was your reaction to being singled out for your work this time in front of the camera?
Well, it was very shocking to me because I've been acting since I'm like 11 years old, so I've never been nominated for acting for anything. And I was stunned and happy.
Yeah, does it have a particularly different meaning to be nominated for your work on screen for the first time like this?
Yeah. Oh God. It's just, I mean, as an actor, you just want to keep working. You want to work, and so every job is a gift. And you don't go into a job thinking, oh, I'm going to get nominated for this or something like that. And it's just, I've been in and around awards before, but never in this way. I was given an Emmy for animation for King of the Hill, but that was it was another kind of an amazing thing because that was given to me by a jury of my peers who voted that I would get an Emmy. So I knew about that when I went to that ceremony. And so I've never in a million years thought something like this was going to happen. It was a very happy surprise.
Is that a very different kind of experience, going into that kind of a juried award where, you sort of know you've got it going in compared to this sort of thing where you're a nominee and now there's, the suspense is on?
Yeah, well, this feels different because I feel like I won something. Like, I don't feel like there's something else coming because I was nominated and maybe I'm going to win. It doesn't even matter. It's just the recognition and who, the people in my category. I could never imagine, one of us is going to get it over the other. It's all so different and all the parts are different. And so I just feel like we all really won something massive.
Yeah, I think that's, if I were, to be up for an award, I would I think that would be sort of my favorite part is being
Yeah.
a nominee before the awards happen, because then it's just like a group of you of 5 or 6 or however many in your category.
Yeah.
It's like you're all part of the same team almost, and then it's not like winner or loser at that point.
Absolutely. I just can't wait for the gift basket.
Oh, yeah, those are very ample and impressive at award shows, so I'm sure that'll be coming. You're being considered for a particular episode of the show for Bobby's House, which is the episode where you and Louie you engage in some sort of gender swapping role play at that one point. What were your initial thoughts about that particular twist in those characters' relationships? Because that relationship up to that point had already had so many ups and downs.
Yeah. Well, as Louie vets a lot of his ideas with me and with Vernon and Stephen Wright in this past season. And some stuff is generated through me. And this was completely Louie's vision. And I fell down and died when I read it. I was like, oh my God, what is happening? And even up until the day we were shooting it, I was like, what am I doing behind you? And, but it's very emotional because besides the kind of the shock value of stuff that goes on, the fact it's a gender reversal in 2 ways. Because, Pamela's taking on the role of the man and she wants to be guiding the whole thing. And in the end, she gets what she wants from him sexually, romantically, maybe emotionally. And then she's like, I think we're kind of done. She doesn't want anything more. And he's has opened himself up and completely vulnerable. And then she dumps him. So it's like, it's not conventionally, this is like the guy's thing to do. And the woman is saying, I think we're better as friends. Let's just cut the shit, kind of, And so I mean, it was heartbreaking to shoot it too. It was just like, oh my God, you know, because we've all been there on one side or the other of this.
It's you know, those two characters have had that push and pull dynamic for a while, and that imbalance where, you know, a lot of times, not just in that episode, where, you know, a lot of it is him trying to deal with having stronger feelings for her than she has for him. And do you often feel like you do you find yourself sympathizing more with him than with her at sometimes, or do you think they're both sort of conflicted in their own way?
Well, I mean, I understand both of them, you know, but I know what it feels like to want more in a relationship, and I know what it feels like to want to pull back from a relationship and say, I don't want this, you know, to be all consuming. You know, I want to have a life, and can't this just be enough? And also to be in a relationship where the person is not giving you what you need. Eventually you have to stop and say, uh, I need to say something selfish. I can't do this thing that you need me to do. It doesn't mean that I don't have the same feelings for you that you have for me, but at this point, it's just not working for me. And it's so hard to articulate your truth in a relationship. And more often than not, it just comes off harsh, and then the person ends up getting hurt.
And those two characters that you know, sort of masquerade as in that scene together, you know, your character Peter and Louie is Jornetha. Where did that come from? That name was that just sort of workshopped, or did he always have that character in his head?
No, we did not workshop Joranetha or Joranetha. That's just pure Louis C.K. brain trust.
And you know, your character tapping into her masculine side is interesting because, you know, as you mentioned, you did a voice on King of the Hill, and you've done voice work as, you know, other male characters. You know, did that, you know, sort of make it feel more natural for you to cross that gender divide in this way?
You know, it's just something that has been a part of my life and my career. So I was always a tomboy. I wasn't like a sexy tomboy. I was really a tomboy my whole life. And even in middle school and high school, I was wearing like my brother's hand-me-downs. And I never felt comfortable in the traditional role of being a girl and going out on dates and things like that. That never worked for me. And I liked guys to hang out with me like in a guy way. Like I just like to be equals. And then in terms of professionally, it started early, right away. You know, after, you know, the first movie I ever did was Grease 2, and I was a little pink lady. But then the next movie I did, I played an orphan, and they had to write in the credits girl Joey because nobody knew I was a girl. And then from then on, it just was like I did an episode of Night Court, and the character of Bull like fosters this little boy, and I'm really a girl. And then I did the Red Fox show, and he thinks he's adopting a little boy, and I'm really a girl. And it was just, I did a movie where I play a girl whose greatest wish is to turn into a boy, and I throw like a crystal at the moon during an eclipse, and I grow a penis, like all of that. There's a book called Female Masculinity, and somebody talks about me in that book, and you know, those kind of parts that I played in the 80s. And then I started getting into radio and animation, and my first campaign I ever booked was for 7-Eleven, and I played this boy, young Kevin. And you know, and it just was like I was the go-to guy for the natural sounding boy's voice, and I wasn't going to go through puberty, and my voice wasn't going to change. So this was just like, welcome back. You know, I'm role reversing again. And you know, it's just always a line that I've straddled. and feel very comfortable in.
You've recurred on Louie since the first season, but before that, you actually co-starred with Louis C.K. in his sitcom Lucky Louie some years ago. Had you known each other before that, or was that your first time working together?
No, we met during Lucky Louie, so I didn't even know who he was before I got the script for it and ended up meeting him. So he was just not on my radar at all, and we ended up just, creatively clicking and in every way. And we've been just enjoying this massively, explosive creative relationship for 10 years.
And that shows on Louie where you've been working with him, as a writer and as a producer, in addition to your work as Pamela on the show. What has that creative relationship been like, on Louie?
Oh, it's been so satisfying because to be his sounding board and then to have him hear my ideas, and then some of them that I just get very excited about. I'm like, what about this thing? He's like, I'm not feeling that. I'm not going to run with that. And then he'll keep, something will stick with him and he wants to keep going with a certain thing. And so it's just been amazing. Something could happen to him in his life or me in my life, and we'll have long conversations, and I'll say to him, well, that has to be on the show, or that's a bit, you've got to use that in your act or something like that. So it's very creatively just an unbelievable feeling to live your life, have experiences, and then be able to witness certain things and cultivate them into a new idea.
Yeah, and Louie on the show is playing sort of a version of himself, stand-up comic, named Louie. And but how about you? Does your character have any similarities to you and your experiences? I mean, you mentioned that, you take events from your lives and see how they work as material.
Right. Well, she's similar to me in the fact that she's a single mom, and then I guess the similarities stop there. I have some of her philosophies, but all the years I played Marcy on Californication, everybody would be like, "Oh my God, that's so amazing. You're so Marcy." And I would be like, I am nothing like Marcy Runkle, and when my kids would be around me, people would come up and they would like start cursing, like, they're talking to Marcy, and I'm like, hey, keep it down. Marcy's similar to me in the fact that, I'll say anything and I'll use profanity and that doesn't bother me, but the similarities stop there. So, I mean, there's certain things that are like me in those characters, but not really. They really are characters. And even though Pamela is called Pamela, I'm not Pamela.
Yeah, as we talked about, before Louie, you voiced Bobby Hill on King of the Hill, and that's probably still one of your best known roles, and you ended up playing that role for more than a decade. Having played Bobby Hill for so long on that show, I was wondering, it ended fairly recently, just a few years ago. Is that a role you especially missed after it ended?
Oh God, I miss it so much. It was an amazing experience, and everybody who worked on the show, and I mean the actors and the writers, and I'm still in touch with a lot of the writers like Mike Judge and Greg Daniels. We talk every once in a while, and John Altshuler and Dave Krinsky, and all those guys are doing Silicon Valley now, and Jim Dotrieve on Bob's Burgers, and a lot of my King of the Hill guys are on Bob's Burgers, and I've done a bunch of those episodes, which is really fun. And John Roberts, who plays Linda on Bob's, I always say to him, "You're welcome. Enjoy riding my coattails." And but yeah, that was God. the greatest thing to be part of 13 seasons. I mean, I wish we were like The Simpsons and we could be like saying we're doing 28, but at least we got that.
And you've done so much voice acting over the years, including also Bob's Burgers, as you mentioned. How did that whole side of your career sort of develop?
Well, it happened, it's funny because I'm from New York originally, and we came out here, and my dad was friends with this guy who had a studio, and he had me record something when I was like 9 years old. And I played like a Valley girl. And that was actually the first thing I ever did. And it was for like a dam in California or something. And then I started, when Paul Doherty, who's still my voiceover agent, he heard my voice in something that I had done. He brought me in to read this copy for this 7-Eleven campaign. And that's when I started booking radio. And I booked tons of radio, and I really wanted to get into animation, and I just didn't know how to break in. And then all of a sudden I started doing like Rugrats and like these different shows. And then the Disney stuff started happening, and, Rugrats was Klasky Chupo and just all of those shows. And it was just like, oh, thank God, I really found a place where I felt so comfortable, and just the people were magnificent. They're the best people ever. So it's just really good, easy, lucky work to have.
As you mentioned, you won an Emmy for voiceover performance in 2002 for King of the Hill. What was that whole experience like, from finding out that you were winning to accepting the award?
Well, I was super pregnant with my third daughter, and I was in Santa Barbara, and one of my producers called, and he said, you won an Emmy. And I was like, oh my God, we did. And he's like, yeah. And I said, that's so great, Joe. Congratulations. And he said, no, Pam, you won an Emmy. And I was like, what? It didn't even happen yet. He said, you won an Emmy. There was a jury of your peers. And I was like, are you serious? Seriously? So it was just an amazing experience. And then I had to find an outfit that would fit, because I had a huge stomach and giant tits. So I wore my tits as an accessory. And I had this outfit that I really felt comfortable in. But I remember having to pee the whole time, and they don't tell you when your category is coming up. And I was super pregnant. I was like, oh God. And but I was there. I was able to make it. And I remember my mom went too, and Stephen Root and his wife Romy came with me, and we get out of the limo, and I said, well, one of you guys take a picture of me on the red carpet in my outfit, because this woman, Rachel London, had made me my beautiful outfit. And so they said, yeah, step back. So I'm sitting there, and he's taking a picture, and somebody comes and says, can you move to the side? Move to the side, please. Paula Abdul's coming through. And I was like, fuck Paula Abdul. I want an Emmy, man. But anyway, so that's what I remember the most. And then my mother hurting her foot and me being afraid she was going to sue somebody. That too.
Where do you keep your Emmy now?
It's downstairs in my study. In my little office.
Are you potentially do you have a space for another one, and just in case you happen to win another one this year?
No.
Not even tempting the fates?
No. It's just a thrill, and it's very happy thing to be in that company. Couldn't be happier. I'm not bullshitting.
A lot of times with voice acting, it can be a more solitary experience, as opposed to being on a set with co-stars. Is there much difference to how you approach voice acting versus live action as an actor?
Yeah, because you don't have the pressure of your face. When you're on camera, and people are like, well, can we do something? Or just like people messing with your hair or putting makeup on you, which I hate so much. And yeah, it's like, it's rare that you go into a recording session and that you're going to be there all day and that they're just going to scrape the marrow out of your bones. If you're doing a movie, you could sit there for 15, 16, 18 hours, and even some television. And it's like, I haven't been able to really kind of carve out that kind of time, nor would I want to, raising 3 daughters on my own. So it's afforded me the ability to be there for my girls and keep a roof over their head,
Would you say because of those factors, voice acting is something that you've preferred generally over the years?
I like working, so I don't really have a preference. I like working. I think work is the greatest thing that we can do, and make our own money and make a living. And if you like what you're doing and actually love it, then you are so lucky. But I don't. I think I admire anybody who works at anything and makes their own money.
Well, yeah, I want to congratulate you again on that Emmy nomination and on continuing to work. Seems to be going well these last few years, and thanks so much for talking to me today.
I like your painting.
Oh, thank you. I have no idea who did that. I can't remember.
Thanks, Daniel.
All right, have a great day.
Take care.